Hi everyone! Thank you for joining us for the June 2022 Volume 1 Very Difficult Ambuscade with Quturbs. Due to recording issues, you will see two different recordings in this video for the first strategy, but both with the same results. Camera angles near the ads did not process completely well and was needed to be re-recorded in a separate one. So I do apologize if this is a little confusing when watching, but the exact same thing is happening in the main video as the additional one for that camera angle. On to the strategy. For this fight, we used 2x ninjas, Bard sub-white mage, Red mage sub-white mage, Paladin sub-summoner, and a main summoner. As we are dual boxing this fight, we felt more comfortable with using two ninjas to help manage the lower amount of damage and the Paladin sub-summoner as a backup for the main summoner if needing to do something on their alternative character. This fight is much faster if you have actual people playing these jobs. From 100 to 80%, there is no real threat from the main NM. He does have access to 3 different moves. The first one is Leaping Cleave, which is a single hit that can be absorbed by shadows. Animated Wail, which provides the NM haste, but can be countered by Slow 2 and has been seen to not use Animated Wail while Slow 2 is active. He also gains access to Mangle, which is a 3-hit move that can be absorbed by shadows. Once 80% hits, the NM will lose the sword that he is currently using and start hitting the ninjas with hand-to-hand, and summons 5 additional ads. These ads are 3 Tormentors, which are Dark Knights, and 2 Astrologers, which are Black Mages. It is highly recommended that the Red Mage silences the Astrologers to prevent Sleepka from going off and sleeping the Qutrub avatar. At this time, the NM also gains End Death, so the ninjas need to manage their shadows very carefully. Instead of the previous movesets that he had, he now gains Hex Palm and Spinal Cleave. Both these moves will bypass shadows and deal damage. Hex Palm does also absorb HP, which means that any damage he does take from the ninjas, he will absorb back into himself, helping him go up in HP instead. Have your Bard or Red Mage keep their HP above half just to ensure no death, as you can see these moves can kill if left unattended. At the time the ads spawn, the Paladin will sentinel to gain hate on all the ads and run them to an opposite corner to make sure that no additional hate tools are being affected on the main NM himself. The summoner will follow the Paladin to make sure to spam Mewing Lullaby on cooldown. Our summoner in this video has a cooldown of 20 seconds per blood pact. The Paladin will also use Mewing in between, or if our summoner is needing to do something on their alternative character and won't be able to hit Mewing in time. Around 50%, the NM will use Perfect Dodge, giving the time to rebuff or reapply any debuffs to the main NM or to the ads. It is recommended to try and silence the main NM at this time. At 30%, he will gain the ability to cast Utsusemi-san, which can just delay the fight longer. Confirm that again, the astrologers are also silenced before 30% to make sure that Sleepka doesn't go off on sleeping the Qutrub. At 30%, the NM will gain a dagger and start using a couple of moves. One new move will be Genai Roden. I probably horribly said that wrong, and I do apologize. This move will deal damage, stun, and does dispel multiple buffs. This move can take up to 5 shadows though, and will not dispel if absorbed by all 5. If it is not absorbed by an amount of shadows, then it will dispel X amount of buffs based off of the amount of shadows that were not absorbed. For example, if there are 2 shadows that are absorbed, he will dispel 3 buffs. Unlike the previous Qutrub Ambuscades where the boss would use Enforcer at 30%, they have now changed the move to be called Spin the Table. Spin the Table will still absorb a percentage of your HP just like Enforcer, but unlike Enforcer, if your HP is below 10%, you will be instant KO'd instead. This means your Red Mage or Bard needs to watch the ninja's HP to ensure their HP never drops below 10%. This move also has a slight hate diminish on their targets and will cause the NM to go after the next in line on the hate list. so be careful and watch your hate after each move. Also, you do not want to cure them too high, as the NM will also absorb the HP, causing this fight to be extended out longer. Once the main NM dies, the adds with the Summoner and Paladin will die shortly afterwards with no damage needing to be dealt. As you saw in the primary video, we did have one ninja that did die, causing a slight delay between our main and our sub video. This did not stop us from getting the win, as the main ninja stopped TPing to ensure that we could get buffs and resituated for this fight. Wow, that's a lot of information due to this fight having 3 different phases. The setup is pretty restrictive and can change slightly if you have people that are more focused on their jobs and shadow counting. You could change the second ninja to a heavier DD, or you could change your paladin to a rune fencer. Please note though, our paladin was taking 0 damage in this fight, so you may need to mew more often if you change to a rune fencer who needs to pull out their greatsword to parry, or if you have a paladin that does take damage. The next strategy is killing the adds, which does change this fight actually a little bit. We still used 2 ninjas, a red mage, and a bard, but we switched out the paladin to a rune fencer and the summoner to a corsair. From 100% to 80, the fight is the exact same as the previous strategy. When the adds spawn at 80%, instead of the rune fencer trying to hold all the adds, one of the ninja, whichever one had hate at the time, will hold the main NM. The rune fencer will then grab both the astrologers, while the core, bard, and the other ninja grab each of the tormentors, each person tanking 1 tormentor. The red mage will then want to silence the astrologers to make sure Ike Spikes isn't applied for when the DDs come over to attack them. The adds have the ability to still use Leaping Cleave, Mangle, Fortified Wail, which actually gives them Protect, and their respective 2 hours. In this case, the Tormentors would gain Blood Weapon, and the Astrologers would use Mana Font. Leaping Cleave and Mangle can still be absorbed by shadows. As each of the adds die, you will receive a message stating, "The boss's phantom blood begins to flicker." This gives you an idea that the percentage chance of end death proccing has diminished slightly. Once the final add is killed, you will receive the message, "The boss's phantom blade no longer looks so uncanny." This means that the main boss no longer has the end death effect. Depending on your group, you may all attack the NM at this time. He does still have access to Hex Palm, Spinal Cleave, Unblessed Jembaya, and Ganai Rodin. Again, I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. The main boss will also start using Perfect Dodge at 50%. As it gets closer to 30%, you want to ensure your core, your ninja that is not currently tanking, and your rune fencer are ready to grab the adds. Separating the adds at this time will make sure they do not gain access to triple reversal. Your ninja that is still tanking the main boss will want to make sure to not TP on the main boss after 30% while the adds are being killed, so that way Spin the Table does not go off multiple times. As you can see, our ninja ended up dying due to this happening, but was quickly able to regain control of the main boss after being raised and Jcnnifcr'd. Just like the first set of adds, they only have access to Leaping Cleave, Mangle, Fortified Wail, and their respective 2 hours, while being held by different targets. Again, since they are being held by different targets, they do not gain access to triple reversal. Unlike last time, no message will be displayed when killing each of the adds, but don't worry, killing them all will actually do something different in the end. Once all the adds are dead, the main NM can no longer use the move Spin the Table. Instead, he gains a move called Genku Benken, which deals high single hit damage, but can be absorbed by shadows. So don't be like me and forget to put up your shadows and then eat the floor by this move. Through our observation, he did not use any additional TP moves during this time and made him super easy to manage at the very end. Although the strategy did take us a significantly longer time, it did seem like a much safer route, and it had more versatility to be able to allow different job combinations. We hope both these strategies help your group in completing this month's Ambuscade. Good luck out there, everybody! Bye-bye!